Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The DIY Mom Interrupted by Kids. They are currently napping, so hopefully we're not interrupted today. Fingers crossed. So we're going to work on this dresser, and it will take a few days because of the process. You know, some of these steps have to sit a little while, so we'll kind of check back here and there. But I picked this up for $30 in our town from a local college student that was moving out, and it's very, very solid, very heavy. So I'm really happy to have it, but I didn't prefer the finish on it or the poles. The poles I went ahead and removed. I just used a regular Phillips screwdriver, and most people have that on hand. It's the one with the little, 4 prongs at the end, so Phillips for these particular poles. So I went ahead and removed those, and now we're going to work on removing the varnish. So this varnish, I'm going to use a stripper in order to remove it. So I went to our local hardware store this morning and picked this up. It is just called Tough Strip, and this was $10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it in my little container. You want to make sure to have a container, either glass or metal is what you're going to want to use, no plastic. So you're going to pour it in. Make sure you have your gloves on, because that's very important. This stuff will eat through almost anything. And then you have your paintbrush. My paintbrush has clearly been very used, and I've had it for a really long time. I want to say when I originally bought this, this is a Purdy paintbrush, and I want to say it was probably $10 to $15, but you don't have to get this brand. You can get something cheaper for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this in, and then as I start applying, with gloves of course, I'm only going to apply in one direction. It's very important that you don't go back and forth. It doesn't work as properly, so you want to just apply in one direction. It sits about 10 to 15 minutes, and when you're done, you want to use a scraper. Also been used a lot, my scrapers. So the instructions tell you to use a plastic scraper, and the reason for that is sometimes metal can cut into your wood if you're not careful. So I have both. I kind of prefer metal most of the time, but it's kind of a personal preference. But that is the risk you will take with a metal scraper, is that it could cut into your wood, and then you'll have to sand it out, or you'll just have a nick in your wood. So we're going to go ahead and get this varnish off, and by using the stripper, and then let it set 10 to 15 minutes, and then scrape it off. And then we'll come back and use a mineral spirit, and what we'll do is we'll cover the dresser and the drawers, which are here. There's 5 of them. We'll cover all of that with a mineral spirit. The reason for that is that this stuff penetrates the wood to get all that color out of there. So before applying your next color, whether it be paint or stain, you want to make sure to get it all out of there. So you're going to use a mineral spirit. Basically, it's going to go ahead and dilute what's on your wood already. So that's what I'm going to be working on, and soon it will be ready and clean, and we can go ahead and apply our stain back on it. So watch and see, and we will get this project moving along. Back, and it is stripped down. You can see the color difference. It's a lot lighter. It's almost a bare wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a quick sanding with a very fine grit sandpaper. I picked this up at Lowe's. It's a 220 grit. This was $5. And I'm just going to cover my sanding block that I already have and go over it very lightly and very quickly. and then wipe it down and it will be ready for a stain. I am going to wipe it down with the mineral spirits that I talked about. You can pick a bottle of mineral spirits up for about $10. So yesterday when I was stripping, I did end up having to use my little wire brush. This is specifically for stripping. So in all of the grooves, I came back and used that. Also, I'm going to wood fill. I don't particularly like this design in there, you can see. So I'm going to come back with wood filler and fill in all of that and this hole. And then we'll sand that down and it will be ready for staining too. The wood filler that I got, just a little tube, it is stainable and it was $3. So this is an Elmer's product. And like I said, $3, so super inexpensive. If there's a flaw or something that you don't like, you can always come back with wood filler, but it will have to be sanded. You can usually sand on something like this after about 15 minutes. If it's a deeper hole or something that you're filling, then you will have to wait a little longer to sand, and sometimes you'll even have to wood fill twice, but I don't suspect that we'll have to do that. So we're going to go ahead and wood fill, then we're going to sand, then we're going to wash this down with mineral spirits, and then we're going to go ahead and put our stain on. The stain that I got was a classic gray stain, and it's a Miniwax. This was also $10. I feel like everything was $10. Anyways, this was $10 as well. And so I've got this and something to open it, which is just a screwdriver, just a flathead screwdriver I'm going to use to open it. And then I've got my stir stick somewhere. It is somewhere. Well, I must have set it down somewhere. Anyways, it's over there. So I'm going to stir do not shake the stain, just stir it really well. So I'm going to stir it, and then I'm going to use gloves because the stain will get all over your hands. And I'm going to use one rag, just an old junky rag that I have, and I'm going to apply the stain with that. When I'm done applying the stain, I'm going to let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'm going to come back with another rag, a different one, and wipe it down. At that time, I'll assess the situation and see if I like the color or not. And if I don't like the color and I want it to be a little richer, I'll reapply. If I do like the color, we'll wait for that to dry and then go ahead and poly it later. But 10 to 15 minutes with the stain on and then wipe it down. So I'm going to just kind of be rolling through this. Wood filler, sanding, mineral spirits, and then stain. So let's get going.